So it's Friday, December 12th, 2025, one of the most remarkable 24-hour periods I've seen ever. Stay all the way to the end. This is amazing. So what just happened overnight, I wasn't even sure which direction to go with the headline. I can't say anything other than this was huge. This was just an amazing day. Okay, let's look at what happened day over day. We'll first look at drones, but stick around because what happened on the ground is even more impressive than what happened with drones last night. Russian telegram channels report an explosion at the Orsk mechanical plant that produces artillery shells and other components for the Russian military-industrial complex. Here's an additional still images of footage from Orsk. Here is the moment that it's clear that the explosion occurred at the Orsk mechanical plant, which produces components for the Russian military complex. Like you can see, that's something pretty significant, right? Yeah. Okay. Let's look at this. Last night, drones hit Russia's oil refinery in Yaroslavl, something completely different than the first one, right? Here is Yaroslavl's refinery. UAV strike footage confirms Ukraine likely hit the AVT-4 primary crude distillation unit, key to initial oil processing, and nearby VT-6 vacuum unit damaged earlier this year. I don't know a lot about oil refining, but I know those ATV and vacuum units and those kind of things are critical for the processing. It's not just about hitting a tank full of oil. It's about hitting the thing that allows it to go to a tank full of oil. Okay, Yaroslavl oil refinery is one of the oldest in Russia. A fire is reported near TPP, that's a thermal power plant, too, in Tyumen, Russia, likely involving a fuel oil storage tank. Mazut is used as a boiler fuel for power turbines and generates heat and electricity. So that's a third item that's being hit. Fire broke out near the CHP-2 thermal power station in Tyumen, and now you can see this in the image. And then the city of Tver is starting to look like Ukraine. Here's just a still of what was hit. I stopped it. I'm not going to show a big explosion for YouTube's sake. Ukraine drone crashed into a residential high-rise building in Tver. The impact damaged apartments from the first to fourth floors, which is unusual. Like, what's going on? And then I'll show you in a second. 7 people injured, including a child. The Ukrainians don't tend to target civilians in apartment buildings. So what's going on? Russian air defenses, electronic warfare gently guided a Ukrainian drone into an apartment building. Okay, so that makes a little bit more sense of what's going on here. Let me do this. Let me try to blur if I can, because I want you to hear what's happening here. Let's listen to this, if it'll allow me to. Well, I can't. Yeah, let me click here. Listen, just listen. That's that Ukrainian drone. Okay, you see why I blurred that? Because I'm trying not to, offend YouTube censors and that sort of thing. Okay, Ukrainian forces destroyed, and now this would have been the headline, all other things being equal. Ukrainian forces destroyed an AN-26 military transport aircraft using FPV drones at Kachka airfield in Crimea, 220 kilometers from the front line. And it wasn't just that. It was Ukrainian forces of the primary group released a video showing the operation against Russian high-value targets in Russian-occupied Crimea. AN-26 transport aircraft, 55 ZH-6M Nebo M radar, a 64 N6E radar, which served as the eyes for the S-300, S-400. So it was one thing after another after another. This isn't even the big thing. We haven't even gotten to what's going on the ground. Okay. Here's the close-up of the AN-26 being hit. Fighter bomber says regarding the strike on the AN-26, fighter bomber, if you don't know, is a pro-Russian blogger site that tracks kind of these things from the other side. Why are the crews in airplanes and not in shelters during a drone attack? The result is predictable. Yeah, I mean, it is predictable. Then we have Special Operations Forces of Ukraine conducted a special operation in the Caspian Sea. Remember the oil platforms were hit yesterday? 2 Russian vessels transporting weapons and military equipment were struck near the coast of the Republic of Kalmykia. Under U.S. sanctions. Both of these vessels are under U.S. sanctions for their involvement in transporting military cargo between Iran and Russia through the Caspian Sea. Okay, so like it's a thing after thing after thing after thing. Now, this isn't even the big thing. The big thing is what happens on the battlefield. Let's look first quickly. 80 Russian drones overnight, December 12th. They downed or suppressed 64 of the 80. 12 hit 8 sites. Debris fell in 3 areas. I don't really have a lot to show about that. This is a drone being intercepted. That's what you're seeing here. Shot head interception filmed by the second drone, which was also chasing the target. So you can see what's happening because there were 2 drones going after it, and the first drone is actually doing the attack. Second drone is the one that is recording what's going on here. So there you are. Okay, battlefield. I mean, it's crazy stuff what's been happening. Okay, yesterday it was over 1,400. Today it's 1,400. Yesterday was the highest casualties since April 18th. Okay, 1,400 casualties today, over 1,400 yesterday, 2 tanks, 6 armored fighting vehicles, 16 artillery systems, 107 vehicles and fuel tanks overnight. Highest casualties for the second day in a row, according to Ragnar Goodman's dashboard. Then we have to frame it like this. Remember how a month ago Putin was bragging about like, hey, we have Konstantinivka, or Gerasimov was reporting, we have Konstantinivka encircled and it's basically bagged. Pokrovsk is basically bagged. Remember that? They did that twice. And then we see, well, okay, there's part of a broader program here, and it's during the peace negotiations. Russia's propaganda paints a picture of strength, but the reality is very different. Slow and bloody advances, a strained economy, growing public frustration, widening gap between image and truth. After 4 years of trying, Russia has failed to conquer Donbass. That's right, 4 years, and they failed to do that. Aging Russian dictator thought he had a winning idea, a big propaganda win going into the holiday season by sending Russia's elite 76th air assault to clean house near Pokrovsk. And that didn't work out so well, and what you see is massive massive casualties here reported the unmanned systems. Let's first talk about Mariupol. Only 3 attacks. It's tamped down a little bit around Mariupol, which people have been keeping an eye on. Ukrainian forces recently advanced near Pokrovsk. Russian forces recently advanced near Tver. Let's talk about Tver, and then we'll talk about Pokrovsk, then Tver, and then we'll come back to it. Pokrovsk direction, 48 assaults. Russia suffered, this is Chuck Farrar, over 100,000 casualties capturing Bakhmut. So far in the Pokrovsk battle, Russia has sustained 250,000 troop losses, not just in Pokrovsk, but on the way to Pokrovsk. After the victory in Bakhmut in June 2023, Russian forces were so exhausted, lines remained frozen for the next 2.5 years. Not exactly frozen, but crawling. I mean, there was no mobility at all. Okay, now let's talk about Tver. Russia says it captured Tver, but Ukrainian forces and even some Russian bloggers disagree. According to the Institute for the Study of War, Moscow's claim is part of a larger disinformation campaign. That's what's been happening over the last month. Russia's been trying to it's puffed itself up like a cat does when it's like it's frightened. It's like trying to look like, look, I'm really tough, I'm really big, when it's really not. The Russian troops may have entered parts of eastern Tver. Fighting continues across the town. And then we see Ukrainian forces outflanked Russian troops in Kupyansk. Let's talk about Kupyansk, because remember Putin doing that victory lap, or here he's saying that Kupyansk will be completely liberated in a few days, or this image where he's saying Russia is ready to ensure the safety of foreign journalists and guide them through all the districts of Kupyansk, right? Well, it's not working out so well. For context, Russia's 76th Air Assault Division, that is now almost completely destroyed, is an elite unit, often compared to America's 101st Airborne Division, the Screaming Eagles, right? Only in 3 days' time, it's been almost completely wiped out by Ukraine's newly minted unmanned systems forces. And that's again, when we're looking at these high numbers here yesterday and today, that's what's happening. Stunning numbers coming in this morning from Ukraine's unmanned systems forces as Russia has deployed its entire elite 76 air assault division near Pokrovsk, and they're absolutely being slaughtered. It's Pokrovsk and Kupyansk that are where there's problems here. I was just looking at this. So here is, look at that. It just ticked up in real time. It was at 383 when I started just putting the slides in order so that you could see like the headlines of what was going on. And it's now at 403. It just ticked up in real time. Like if you just reverse this, you should see it click up just a couple. Like it clicked up a couple where I was like, holy crap. And like that's hard language for me, right? I mean, that's about as far as you're going to get from my kind of profanity. But I heard myself say it because I was just stunned seeing the numbers just churning up. Okay, so Ukraine's drone forces say that they wiped out 2 battalions worth of Russian troops in 48 hours. Commander Magyar Brovdi reports 976 Russians killed on 10 and 11 December, mostly in Donetsk Oblast, with Russia's 76 Air Assault Division hit hardest. Like they are just going after them in a huge way. And you can see this if you look up report of USF grouping, you can find this. It's SBS-group-army in Ukraine. It's amazing to watch this. Okay, look at the latest deep state map. Now look at what I said. This is Tataragami, an intel guy that has been very right about many things. Look at the latest deep state map. Now look at what I said last month, and then look at the map again. Many people were shocked by my assessment at the time, but as it happens, as it often happens, it turned out to be correct. Here he is on November 3rd Zelensky saying, we will clear Kupyansk. The dates have been set. And he said, based on my assessment, this seems possible as the situation for Ukrainians and Kupyansk appears to be more salvageable than Pokrovsk. Ukraine can, at the very least, stabilize the situation there. That was on November 3rd. And here, if we look at the map, this is the map in November 12th. Okay, that's 1 month ago today. It's almost like the reverse bunny ears kind of thing. This is today. Look at that. 1 month ago, bam. The blue is Ukraine just taking it back, or just what's happened very recently as they're sweeping through. Now, let's do something more. Let's look at Kindrashivka, this area here. Ukrainian defenders have liberated Kindrashivka in Kharkiv region. This puts a few remaining Russian invaders in Kupyansk into an operational encirclement. They'll have to swim across the Orsk River, surrender, or be killed. That's where Russia is. Remember, Russia had them encircled? According to Putin and Gerasimov, that's not happening. Here's Sergei Semleny. He's right here. This guy. He's constantly running drones up to the front. Ukrainian Kharta troops Corps has liberated northern outskirts of Kupyansk and blocked Russian troops in the city. They're cut by Ukrainian forces by a river. Practically, this means encirclement of the Russians. So it didn't work out quite like Putin was planning. And here's Zelensky at Kupyansk today. I'm going to make sure this is muted, and then let's read what he has to say. Wishing you good health. Today in Kupyansk sector, our soldiers are achieving results for Ukraine. Russians have talked a lot about Kupyansk. I've seen it myself. I congratulated the lads. Everyone fighting there, I've seen it myself. I congratulated the lads, thanked every unit for the fighting. Right now, absolutely crucial to get results for the front line so that Ukraine's diplomats can achieve results too. Yeah, that's right. Because that's exactly the issue. Russia was saying that they actually had more than they had in order to show Washington, look, I mean, it's inevitable. I mean, we're going to win this thing. I mean, they need to just roll over and sign this agreement. He says all our strong positions inside the country, positions about talking about ending the war, means strong positions and talks about this. Warriors, I'm proud of you. Thank you all. Today belongs entirely to the ground forces. Yeah, the ground forces are doing a remarkable job. Okay, and that's Zelensky in front of the sign in Kupyansk. Remember how Putin showed himself like he's at the front lines, but you couldn't really tell whether he was at the front lines or just, 1,000 kilometers back deep inside Russia in a staged kind of bunker. Okay. Now, Putin said if Kyiv doesn't want to discuss Trump's peace proposal, they and the European warmongers must realize that the events in Kupyansk will repeat in other areas inevitably. Well, I sure hope so. All right. 2 Russian soldiers are seen surrendering to Ukraine's South Group to prevent friendly fire drone strikes. Ukrainian forces ensured their safe escort. According to the unit, 12 Russians surrendered in this area in just 24 hours. So here you see them coming with their hands up and a white flag. A truck is coming to see them, and they're running over to it. They're throwing everything off of their bodies so that they can show them, like, look, I have nothing. I don't, like, here's my ammo's gone. My, like, right. And so they can get to safety. Now, Russians, if there are Russian drones in that sector, they'll come and try to hit their own Russian soldiers. Like, that's what happens. Okay, that was a lot to get through, my friends. Today is 12 December 2025. It is Ukrainian Ground Forces Day, and they deserve all the praise that they can get. My shout out goes to DGB, a board member, Patreon board member. Thank you, DGB, for your support. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. It's been a banner day. Thank you for the time, the likes, the shares, and the subscribes, and thank you for being the kind of person who cares about Ukraine.